Well, we've got a celebrity here in Hawthorne in the El Capitan Casino parking lot. It's Dog, the repo man. He's coming up from the LA area, going to the big truck show, a huge truck show in Reno, Nevada. As you know, my YouTube channel specializes in the California, Nevada region. Everything from backpacking and camping to horse events and different things going on in the region. So I wanted to cover this truck show up in Reno. It's a national event. And I also had some insights about transportation in the modern world and the environmental concerns of heavy trucks on our nation's highways. Good morning, everybody. Doug Berry here. I'm here in Hawthorne with Matt from the LA area, and they're all heading up to Reno to the big truck show up there.
Hi, I'm Matt, Dalton Trucking. We're from Fontana, California, and we're headed for the ATHS convention up in Reno. So these are mostly my dad's trucks. The two yellow ones are my cousin JJ's, and we'll walk through them real fast.
Okay. Now that your trucking company, that's a family trucking company. Was that started by your grandpa?
Family business. It was started by a guy named Jerry Dalton back in the early 60s, and my dad bought it in 1977.
So don't you have like a 3-digit PUC number, right? Your guy's been in business so long.
It's pretty low.
No, that's amazing, amazing. So let's go take a look at these trucks, Matt.
So here we got a 74 Peterbilt 352.
74 Peterbilt 352. That's a cab over. I used to clean one of those when I was in high school, logging truck.
This is Norm's truck. He uses this thing to haul his boat around. He's one of my low bed drivers.
Okay, that's the repo man, the dog.
Yes. Here we got a 1953 KW cab over. Everybody calls it a bullnose.
A bullnose cab over from 1953. Does that bring back some memories for everybody? Look at that, Kenworth. Then we got the Dalton Trucking from Fontana. Okay.
Here we got an 86 359 extended hood. This thing's all original. JJ ordered this thing brand new.
All original. It's been with the company the whole time since it's a new truck. Look at that. That's sweet.
Here we got a 1948 auto car.
How'd you get a hold of an auto car? That's an Eastern truck.
It lived its life in the Redlands, California area. My dad watched it for years and years, and he bought it in about 1978.
1948. Wow. Look at this old Kenworth.
Here we got a 55 Kenworth.
1955.
It's got a NHRS 320, a 5 and 3, and it was my dad's personal ride.
Hello, everyone. Doug Berry here. Welcome to the Sierra region of California and Nevada. Not too long ago, we went down to Bishop, California, saw the big Bishop Mule Days, had the big mule teams, big mule freight teams. Well, today in our modern world, we don't use horses and mules anymore. We use big highway trucks called semi-trucks. And we're going to go up to Reno and we're going to see some of the older ones of those from the 60s, 50s, and earlier of the big semi-trucks at the American Trucking Historical Society in Reno, Nevada. It should be interesting and fun. So we just want to welcome Flatbed Red to the great state of Nevada and hope she has a great time at the biggest trucking show in the United States of America. Here's your professional drivers at work here. There, they made it finally.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I'm here with Flatbed Red, and she's all the way from the state of Ohio. And her husband are involved in the trucking community in a big way, and she's here at the nation's biggest show here. And she's a super talent too. She's an artist. You should see some of the artwork she does with trucks and so forth. And she's well known in the trucking community, especially with the antique trucks. And I was kind of thinking I might run into you up here, but of course I'm from Nevada, and I have a YouTube station that specializes in all the adventures on the state line between California and Nevada.
Excellent.
And so I did the Bishop Mule Days, so that's kind of like the tractor trailers of yesteryear with the mules. And now today here we're with the big rigs, and so I'm just so happy to run into you.
Yeah, I make it obvious if someone's looking for me. Make it easy to find me.
Yeah. So if any of my followers are into the big trucks and everything, you want to follow this gal. They've got some real quality videos. Well done.
Thank you.
Another unusual truck. It's an ATHS. Here's one that Kelly found. She said this is her truck.
Yeah, I could probably handle this one.
You can
It's got
handle this
power
one?
steering, about my size.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could handle that.
You gonna give up your bicycle in town for this little truck?
I don't know.
I think you could haul your groceries in the back.
Yeah, I probably could. Probably could put my bike in the back too.
Yeah. The 1976 Freightliner Powerliner, and this was noted for the bigger radiator capacity. It normally had a bigger sized engines in these back in the day. There she is right there. Cab over. Kind of get an idea what she looked like. So we're inside the Powerliner made by Freightliner. It says it's got a Cummins engine in it. This is the big super powered cab over engines back in the day. You can kind of see the bigger steering wheel on here and everything. This is a pretty fun truck. I wouldn't mind having one of these myself. And there's a regular sized bunk back here. Kind of gives you an idea of the old cab overs. This is one of those cab over trucks I was telling you about, Kelly. See, they're shorter because they don't have a hood, and the engine is right underneath where the seats are. Now these usually ride a little bit rougher. You don't see these too often because they relax the length restrictions for the trucks. But this is one of your old cab overs. It stands for cab over engine. This one's all the way from Pennsylvania. Anytime you see a rig and it says class of and it has a number, like this one, class of 53, that means it's from 1953. This International from Ottumwa, Iowa is from 1953. Look at that. I kind of like that one myself, the styling. This truck traveled all the way from Virginia to get here, 2,576 miles. Here I am with John Bose from Reno, Nevada, and you probably saw our video on the Music Center in Sparks. Well, we decided to meet up here. His brother's out here too visiting, and we're going to check out all these cool trucks.
Oh man!
And this gentleman right here is an excellent drummer, musician. He plays some steel guitar.
Yeah, a little bit.
So we're going to try to get these Canadians to do an interview in this nice Kenworth.
Okay, awesome.
So this is my kind of truck. There's a pair of work gloves right here. This is a working truck. It's a show truck, but it's a working truck. This is a working truck. It works all the time, and this is not just a show truck. This is a workhorse. And yes, he's got his personal stuff back here and his nice sleeper with the window. How nice is that? Look at the nice dashboard. This is a really nice rig. And like he said, it's pushing almost 700 horsepower, but they're hauling heavy loads. Here we have Doug Burton, who's all the way from Alberta, Canada, and he's got this 1979 Kenworth W900, has no def on it, and see this beautiful rig here. And they specialize in hauling mining equipment, the big tires for all the big equipment.
Yeah, that's kind of what we bring them out of the Carolinas and take them wherever they go, northern Quebec, northern Alberta, northern BC, kind of all over the place. Yeah, it works all the time.
How many trucks do you guys run?
Well, I think there's about 100 on our fleet.
Wow, that's a pretty large fleet, yeah.
Yeah, there's some based down here and some based in Alberta.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Amazing. Well, I'm glad you came out to Reno.
Yeah, no, it's fun. It's always fun to come here and see everything. There's something for everybody to see here.
Yeah, I'm sure appreciative of our good neighbors. We have the biggest, longest border in the world, a friendly border in the world between Canada and the United States.
Yeah, no, it's good.
And here we have a California historical vehicle, if you notice the plate there. And it's also a 1979 truck. And you know what? This one's not working anymore. So it makes me wonder if it's because of the regulations they can't run this perfectly good truck in California. Of course, I don't know. But the guy in Canada was still working his truck. So in our modern world, we're not using big horse teams on the highways anymore, of course. And some people might say that the diesel truck technology is outdated and they're trying to push through these lithium battery powered semi-trucks and also the autonomous driverless trucks. Well, there's two thoughts I had on that, and I have my feelings about it, but I'm just going to use my thoughts and use logic and think about this. The autonomous trucks without a driver in the truck, I think it's safer to have a driver in the truck in case something goes wrong, especially if it's a dangerous load like flammable liquids and so forth. And the lithium battery trucks, the question is too, where are you getting that electric power to charge those lithium batteries from? Is it from coal or nuclear? And also, what do you do with those lithium batteries once they get old? How do you dispose of those lithium batteries in the environment? And another thought I had too was with a lot of extracting of natural resources, for instance, we need trees, but we also need lumber. So when we're harvesting lumber, you need a truck that can go on a temporary road, not a road. There's no highway up there in this timber area that has the sensors built in on a dirt road that could have a driverless truck or an electric truck. A lot of electric trucks don't have the range and the horsepower to maneuver off-road like that. And also bringing food out of the fields and natural fiber out of the fields, minerals and rocks. Those places that have those resources don't have paved super highways with high-tech sensors for a truck that doesn't have a driver in it. And there's some thoughts too about, I saw a discussion that an engineer had about these newer electric trucks. Well, the highway trucks now are rated for 80,000 pounds gross weight. The newer electric trucks have to be 82,000 pounds, so they're 1 ton heavier because of the battery packs. And the fire departments have said, there's a fire training facility in California that was talking about how they need to train people for electric vehicle fires. And they're talking just about cars. Then in a typical electric car fire, it could take 21,000 gallons or more of water to put that fire out, and 2 to 6 hours or more. And even electric car fire can start from a puncture or heat that just starts one of the little batteries. There's thousands of those batteries, and that even when an electric car fire is put out, it could start up again hours or even days later, where it's towed to maybe a tow facility or a yard somewhere. And the standard internal combustion engine cars, they only use 5,000 gallons of water. It takes about an hour and a half, and not have to worry about them exploding in the future or causing a fire. And it's also hard on the fire departments because they have to have a sheet that's printed out and it's laminated, apparently in their trucks, that show in the fire truck, they have to see what kind of vehicle it is and what model to see what the configuration is of the battery and how to go about putting out each different type of electric car battery. So there's some safety issues there with electric vehicles. So imagine a vehicle that's as large as a semi-truck that's battery powered and has a fire on it with those batteries. So it's something of concern. And at the truck show there was several trucks that were, for instance, there was 2 trucks that were from 1979 that were in perfectly roadworthy condition. The one truck was up in Canada, in Alberta, and it was still hauling freight. He was moving heavy equipment and so forth, things for mining operations. That truck was still on the road. Then there was another truck, almost the same model, same year, that was in California, and that truck could not be operated, had to carry antique vintage truck plates. It couldn't be hauling almonds out of the Sacramento Valley, or it couldn't be hauling tomatoes or lumber or anything like that. And I've talked with one owner that said the state of California was trying to actually condemn his truck and destroy it. A perfectly good truck, because they have all these different regulations and so forth. And apparently the regulations are so heavy in our neighboring state, California, I live over here in Nevada, that a lot of the trucking companies don't want to operate or do business in California. And the governor of California has mandated that in 2036, no new diesel trucks will be sold in the state of California. And by 2042, no diesel trucks are allowed at all. There's zero emission tolerances. So I'm not sure how you're going to pull food out of the fields and minerals and timber out of places on these gravel roads without using an internal combustion engine on a truck. Granted, you could use horses, and that's not a far-fetched idea, but our society is not set up to go back to the horse days with big teams of horses. They're not fast enough. The highways are not set up for horses. But that would be one solution, as crazy as it sounds. But the thing with these no diesel trucks, the thing to think about is California needs trucks. They need to come across the different state lines, Oregon, Nevada, Arizona, and do commerce. And the thing is, the Constitution protects the open borders between states for commerce. It's kind of interesting that I would think when doing business, you would want you would be a fan of the Constitution for trade and doing business. But for instance, the governor of California, just as an example, is pushing forward the 28th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which would cancel the Second Amendment. So the thing is, the Constitution, the rule of law, is good for business. And California needs trucks. California needs trucks to move freights and goods. The trucks don't need California. A lot of the trucking companies and truck drivers and owner-operators refuse to go into California, and it will continue to get worse as they ban the diesel trucks. And then another thing I was just thinking about is that if I have my trucking business in California and I'm tired of the overregulation and saying that, oh, your trucks are too old, we're going to condemn your trucks, etc., and I come and I move to Nevada or Oregon or Idaho, well, they're proposing that they would charge me an exit tax to leave the state of California. Not only personally, but the business and personally, an exit tax. And I just noticed that in my notes, my little bit of research I did on this, is that the U.S. Supreme Court in Crandall versus the state of Nevada, 73 U.S. 35 from 1868, this is nothing new, declared that freedom of movement is a fundamental right, and therefore a state cannot inhibit people from leaving the state by taxing them. So we'll see how this turns out. But my own opinion is that horse-drawn drayage would be the most environmentally responsible solution. But our society and infrastructure is not set up to go back to the horse team freight on our highways.
They do the name freighter from the ocean ships and liner from ocean liner. That's where the name freightliner comes from. So with that, a little bit on Doug.
Did you know that Walmart has one of the biggest truck fleets in the country? And back when Katrina hit New Orleans, the U.S. Army couldn't even haul in all the water supplies to New Orleans. They had to get Walmart to help them. They have a huge, I think they have the biggest truck fleet in probably North America. Kelly, what would you call this? We call this like a candy apple red or cherry?
I call it candy apple red.
Candy apple red. Goodness.
Really beautiful.
Gorgeous. There's the cab there. This truck is from McMinnville, Oregon. If you're ever wondering what these truck sleepers look like, here's a real luxurious one. It's even got the steps going up in here, and it's got a shower. Yes, we're gonna check out the shower, and it can rival a camper. Look at that. It's got a shower and a commode and double bunks. And here's the kit. Yeah, it has a kitchen, a microwave, a range, a little oven, a little table there to do your paperwork. And it's like your little home here. Thank you for inviting us to take a look.
Sure.
Nice Peterbilt, classy rig. Lots of chrome, lots of gauges. And on this truck, lots of room with this big sleeper on it. Goodness, natural light. I guess if you're going to be on the road a lot, you want to have a nice home away from home, and that's what we have here. This is John's brother. He's a pretty tall guy, and even he can fit in there.
Yeah, that's nice.
I think you can get in the shower too, I think.
Peterbilt here has got what they call a drop axle on it. See this extra axle? It's up right now, but it's air assist, and you can raise that or lower it, and when you have a heavy load, you just put that down for the extra weight. I'm here with Nick, and we're looking at a truck that was in Bill or William Hara from the Harrah's Casino auto collection. And this is a nice Peterbilt cab over from the collection of that time. And he's going to show me a couple things that were in the truck here that are of interest here in the toolbox.
Right. Well, they were things that I found when I purchased the truck. It sat out in the corporate yard in Reno because that's who ended up with the truck, the city of. And all this stuff was stuff that I found in the trailer, and most of it was the paperwork. I mean, he had the car museum, and he was really fussy about making sure that all the cars had their manuals.
Reno was known for the big car museum. Remember the car collection? Right.
Exactly. And so that's where all this comes from. You know? So I was fortunate to find a truck that was this age that had the computer build sheets.
Right.
know,
And the
stuff
interesting thing about this truck that you noted is the wheelbase. Now the wheelbase, if you measure from right here the back of this tire all the way to the front of this drive tire, that space right there is short because back in the day they had length laws, and so this is the longest that Mr. Hara could have this truck with the trailer. So it's a shorter, so this truck sits up high so you can see really well, you can see far down the road, and you can turn into tight corners. I was telling him if I had to deliver in Reno, I'd probably want a truck like this. But you know what? I'm even more enamored with this truck because I got my first job as a teenager at Harrah's in Reno.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Harrah's in Reno.
Cool.
Yeah. So I have a soft spot for Harrah's and for the city of Reno. Yeah.
This is Hara's truck.
Okay.
When it was brand new, okay?
Right.
He ordered it from Peterbilt, primer only, and he painted it in his own shop, okay? This is a load of Merlin aircraft engines because he had that boat up at the lake, speed hydroplane.
Up at Lake Tahoe?
Yes.
Okay.
And he was using these engines in that hydroplane boat.
Okay.
This is the car trailer.
Right.
These two units were bought together.
Okay.
At one time.
So here we see on the paperwork that this truck was originally registered to William Hara of Harrah's Casino.
Yes.
So here he is sitting in this truck here, and we got a hold of this. Their company used to run a lot of flatbed loads from like Washington State down to LA and east like to Elko and so forth, mostly in the region. And he fixed up this truck himself that was owned by the city of Reno at one point.
Yes.
And did a really good job and got the paint to match the truck right and did everything that needs to be done, and he did it. Now, how many horsepower is this engine that's in here now?
This engine is a 3406 Caterpillar,
Okay.
3406A.
Oh, okay,
and
the A.
It has about 360 horsepower.
360 horsepower. Okay. And how many speeds is on this?
13 speeds.
13 speed Road Ranger?
Road Ranger 13 speeds.
Okay, okay. Yeah, it's just a great truck and did a really good job, and the sleeper's just in pristine condition. I mean, if I was a flatbed driver, I would love to have a truck like this, and I think it's road ready to work right tomorrow. And the thing is, I noticed too, some of those trucks from California that are, about the same age, they're in perfectly good condition, and the guys were saying they can't run them in California because they have all these restrictions.
Exactly.
And the Canadians and us in Nevada and everything, we can run these trucks and still haul in what we need to haul in, like you said, building materials, right?
Yeah. Get out of the state of California. They took a lot of trucks out of California, and they are still working elsewhere.
So here's another rare truck. It's a Marmon. These were handmade in Texas. Of course, this is a cab over, but they also made it conventional, and these were hand-built trucks. They were not on an assembly line. They were hand-built, and the customer specified exactly what they want, and they built exactly what the customer said. 1963 Peterbilt, and it's a narrow hood on it. They call these the needle nose. It's got a narrow hood, a lot of character on these. That's an Iowa truck. All the flatbedders that haul machinery and lumber and so forth, they have these in the back here, all these chains for your load securement and your binders and everything in the back of the truck. That's where they put them. What's also interesting about this truck, not only is it a Diamond T, but it has a Buda Super Diesel DE650, it looks like. How many cylinders is that?
6.
6 cylinder, and how many horsepower did that put out?
280.
280 horsepower. What's unusual about this truck here is it's a 12-cylinder engine. It's got 6 cylinders on each side. And not only that, it's a 2-stroke engine. Good example of a cab-over engine truck. They used to be popular back in the day. It's got an extended frame, polished tanks. This one's from Longview, Washington, from the Pacific Northwest. It's a 1979 Peterbilt 352H, and it's got a 3408 Caterpillar, and that means it's an 8-cylinder. This one's got some horsepower. The downsides from a Caterpillar D9 to this little baby right here. We have another Canadian truck. It's a 1964 Kenworth. Kelly was saying, I feel like, Douglas, you look like somebody in the candy store. The beautiful Kenworth W900 from Pennsylvania. It's an old Sterling, and it's a chain drive. Here's a 1949 Diamond T. I would call this a large pickup truck myself. Look at all the water out here in the desert. So we're just south of Fallon, between Fallon and Schurz.